More. Good evening. Fantastic. Now, let me ask you this question. Would you rob a bank? Anybody? Would you rob a bank? No. Why?
You're gonna get caught.
Huh?
You're gonna get caught.
Because you're going to get caught. Anybody else? Because it's a bad habit. It's wrong. Anybody else? What? Because you're going to be a criminal after, right? Now, notice that all of you said no. And for those of you who said yes, we're going to call the police after. But why was the answer is no? Today I'm going to introduce you to something called the scale of decision. Any decision that you take in your life will be based on a delicate balance between a yes and a no. And we're going to talk about the things that affects the yes and the things that affects the no. Let's start with the no. On the far end of the scale, the biggest thing that will make you say no is the risk. Just like you answer, sir, I don't want to be caught. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see a bank. There are cameras, there are security guards in front of it, and you're thinking there's a lot of money inside this bank. But why you wouldn't rob this bank? Because what if you get caught? What's going to happen to you? For a very long time. Or maybe there will be a hostage, like a hostage kind of thing happening, and then you get shot and you might actually die. So the risk is really, really high. And when the risk is really high, we always tend to say no. Now, on the other side of the scale, the part yes side is called the chance. If your chance is high, you'll be likely to say yes. Let's go back to the bank. You're walking down the street and you see a bank, and there are cameras and security guards in front of it. Now, what is your chance of pulling this rob successfully? Very low. Because the chance is very low, you will not rob this bank. Now, imagine if the bank has a back door in an alley with no cameras and a simple lock you can just pick with a knife. Now the idea of robbing a bank seems, maybe I still won't do it, but it seems doable. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why? Because you think your chance of pulling this off is getting much better. Now, assume that you have this back door that's easy to break. You can break it with a knife. Would you still rob this bank? No. Why? Why? Exactly. And that leads us to item number 2 on the no section. Item number 2, I call it guilt. Now, guilt could be something in your moral values, in your religious values, in your beliefs that stops you from doing something like that. Even if robbing the bank was easy, and you know you can pull it off, you still won't do it because morally, the guilt scale on the no side is heavier now. Now, what happens if this guilt scale gets less and less? You said no earlier, right? Now, assume that, again, it's a bank, there's a back door, you know you can break through. You still won't do it, right? But let's say you have a son who's sick, severely ill. You don't have any insurance. This son of yours is going to die if he doesn't get the treatment. The treatment is extremely costly. You're thinking about it, aren't you? Even though you still won't do it, but now you're thinking about it. Why? Because the guilt scale got less on it now. I know it's wrong, but I have my reasons. I need to save my loved ones. My son is going to die unless I get that money. And that might push you to say yes, even if something was wrong. Now, on the yes section, we talked about the chance. The other side is the talent. So let's say, again, back to the bank. You see a bank, there's security in front of it, there's a back door, but you don't even know how to pick a lock. There's a bolt inside, you don't even know how to break the combination of the bolts. Would you even attempt to rob this bank? No. But let's say you took a course online on how to pick locks, or you've been trained in how to open bolts. Would you do it? If you are under a lot of pressure, you might think, you know what, I know how to do this. So you might actually pull this off. Why? Because you have the talent to do so. The last item in the no section is called the difficulty. If a bank has a lot of cameras and security guards, you might still rob it, but it's difficult. It's hard to pull off. Now imagine you're walking down the street and you see a wallet. You open the wallet and there are thousands of riyals in this wallet. Would you take it? What if you are under pressure? Would you take it? Because it's easy. So if the difficult scale gets heavier, we tend to say no. On the yes scale, the last item is the reward. If you knew that inside this bank was $5 million in cash, or $100,000 in cash, would that change your idea of robbing this bank or not? Why? No, but like, yes. No, but like if there's a lot of money, you might think, well, at least it's worth trying. If it's not that much, then why should I bother? Now, all of this stuff that I've talked about, even though it's a bad example of robbing a bank, the same thing applies to every decision that we take in our own lives. By a show of hands, do you have a talent that you know that nobody else in this room has? You do have a talent. You know that nobody else here has, right? What is that talent, sir?
Woodworking.
Woodworking. Fantastic. So we have a person who is really passionate about woodwork. Do you have your own business?
Workshop.
Huh?
I have a workshop.
No,
It's a small business.
but you haven't built it into a bigger business. Why?
It's a passion. I like to do it because I have passion.
But you know you can turn it into a profitable business, but you never did. Why?
Risk.
The risk. So again, the same thing is in our scale. He has a passion, he has a talent, he knows he can do it better than anybody, but we don't tend to pursue the passions that we have. Because we first think about the risk. What if I invest a lot of money in it, a lot of time, and then it doesn't work? Then I'm losing a lot of money. We also think about the other factors as well. The difficulty. Is it easy to start a business? Do I need to get a license from the government, whatever? Do I need to rent a shop? Do I need to buy some machines, or whatever? Now it's becoming more and more difficult. We also think about the guilt. If you have your own shop, that will take time from your own family and loved ones. Are you going to be happy with that or feel guilty about it? I remember when I won the World Championship, in the first 2 years, I used to do a lot of traveling and with a lot of speaking. And I remember one time, my daughter was right here. She said to me, Dad, I really wish that you didn't win the championship. And I said, why, dear? And she said, because we don't see you anymore. And that statement made me just stop and think, am I doing the thing that I love, but sacrificing something else in return? So yes, we have a lot of things in the no section, and that's what's weighing you down. That's what's making you not wanting to do this. Now, let's look at the yes section. What is your chance of pulling a successful business in woodwork? Now, you might think, I don't know, because I know I'm good at it, but I don't know if people want to buy my stuff, right? Now, talent, you have a heavy scale in talent, because you already said, I'm better than anybody when it comes to woodwork. Reward. You have a heavy weight on reward because you love doing woodwork. And doing it gives you that feeling of being rewarded. It's never about the money anymore. So, your yes section is a bit heavier, however, you still have a lot of things in the no sections. The risk, the guilt, and the difficulty. Let's take some of these stuff out. Let's start with the risk. You said your risk is losing money or losing time. Can you start a business without having to spend anything? You can start small. Just have an Instagram page and put your stuff on it. If it works, it works. If not, who cares? So we took care of the risk factor now. The guilt. Get your family to be with you. Once they share your passion and share what you love, they will even help you. Even if you spend hours doing it, they are with you in that. And difficulty, invest in yourself to learn more. Take some courses, learn how to do new techniques. That will make running a business much easier. And now, when I'm talking to you now, you're thinking, my God, this guy made it so simple. And yet, it is that simple. I always hear people say, nobody believes in me. And I always ask, did you believe in yourself first in order for people to believe in you? If you look at any successful person and you ask how did it all start, they might just say, well, it just happened by chance, or no, I just took a chance on something. Ladies and gentlemen, life can only be experienced once. Once. You're in your 20s, and soon enough you'll be in your 30s, and soon enough you'll be in your 40s and 50s, and then you will look in the mirror and think to yourself, where did my life come from? You know that phrase when people say someone peaked in high school? You don't want to be the person who peaked in high school. Meaning, you don't want to be the person who had the best time of your lives just in high school. You want your best time to be ahead of you. Now, deciding yes or no is based on these factors that I told you about. But you can tip the scale in your favor. You can work hard on your talent to increase your chance of winning. You can start small to decrease your risk of losing. You can learn new techniques to make it less difficult. You can do the things that you love so you get more reward out of the decision that you're making. Because you don't want to be growing to an old man thinking, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. My biggest regret is I didn't start speaking on stage until I was in my 30s. Now I get asked to speak over the world and I don't have the energy to even travel anymore. I know I might look young, but I'm not. But I always ask myself, what if I have done it earlier? Maybe I would have done more. But that doesn't stop me. say, you know what? Whatever I have now, I'll make the best out of it. And I really wish that you all can do the same. Thank you so much for listening.